Welcome in, everyone. Thank you for your patience with us. We are having a time over here. We decided to update our username so that it says The Galaxy Electric, but like not all the links are working the way we wanted them to. And so we are trying to make sure that we can connect to our own stream here. So we want to make sure that's working before we really launch into this. But we do have a new synth friend today. And Todd is here. Welcome in, Todd. Easelcat, I see you. Tangent. Tangent is our connection to our synth friends today, actually. This is their recommendation.
Tangent.
So thanks, Tangent. And we are going to bring in Johno Wells, our friend from the internet, our synth friends. And hopefully we can get everybody to join, because this link thing, the fact that we changed our name and have this different link. It's like something we're just gonna have to get used to and find all the little places where that link exists. All right, without further ado, let's make sure that all of our transmissions are coming through properly, and we're gonna bring our synth friend in here. Let's see, everybody. Are we there? I think we're there. Welcome in, Johno. Welcome to the stream.
I love that I'm a synth friend. That's so cool.
I'm so glad.
Well, actually, you have the opportunity to decide whether you are a synth friend or not at the end of our talk today.
I accept. I'll just tell you right now.
Already accepting. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us on this voyage today, where this is our very first stream with the username The Galaxy Electric, so that people stop getting confused about our name. We're grateful.
It feels so different. It already,
I know, right?
It feels like a different show.
Yeah, it's almost like we're on another planet all of a sudden. So
I feel the warmth.
So we thank you for being our inaugural guest on the official The Galaxy Electric channel.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
We're celebrating. So that's, as you know, this is our... Well, we'll use a phrase that another synth friend used. Our friend Abdul, who goes by Orbital Patterns on Instagram, said, "Oh, I get it. This is lowbrow." So welcome to our lowbrow wine drinking synth friends show.
Cheers.
I think I like that. I was just called an outlaw by my new in-law, and she said, "Now you're not an outlaw anymore. You're an in-law." And like at first I was like, "Man, fuck you." But then I was like, "No, wait a second. I get it." So
that's cool. No, being an outlaw is very cool. And, we talk a lot here about sci-fi movies and how much, so many of them are like space westerns.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a fun touch point as well.
I mean, the Star Wars franchise, for one.
Yeah, the entire franchise. Which
touch point. That's a word I need to use more. That's a good one.
Oh, how fun.
I also like counterpoint. Like a good counterpoint is
Which another
I always like that one too.
A good definition of counterpoint is, the counter melody stuff that happens when you're studying music. You can know that it's called that or not. It's happening either way. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things to study.
Sorry about that. I will derail you at every moment.
Yeah, no, the whole point of Synth Friends is how derailed can we get till we find like a new place of conversation that no one's had before.
Great.
And so welcome aboard.
I'm on board. Danielle. I'm on board. I'm sitting up. I'm on board.
So I think we'll have to do a little tell us about yourself and sort of your synth origin story, as we like to call it. How you got into synths and like to the level that you're at obviously now, but like what was that entry point?
I think there were probably two. The first was the first synth I bought. And then the second was when I really realized that I didn't care about guitar music anymore. And I know that's totally not, that's not true. What I mean is I realized that I didn't want to make it anymore.
No.
And that was like early 90s circa Warp schematic. And I'm like, God, all I need is Autechre and Aphex Twin and I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
sure. So it was like those two moments, buying the right synthesizer, but then kind of not touching it for decades and being interested in guitar and Sonic Youth and Mudhoney, and then switching to like the tightest, most not guitarish,
That is so cool though, because we had such a similar experience of diving out of music. I wouldn't say that we made guitar music because that makes it sound like we actually were good at guitar.
Right.
But it was more just that like it was rock or whatever.
Right, sure.
And we like literally jumped off the deep end from that to like fully into like collage music. And
why did you make that
lost
jump?
So many people along the way. They were like, "Where'd you go?"
Well, to be fair, the very first song on our first album is a tape collage thing. So I mean, it's not
but
like
I'm going back even before. I'm saying that was us jumping off the deep end.
Right. Yeah.
Before that.
Before that.
I think what happened was that
like under another band name.
We have this habit of like if we're doing something and it like starts to go well and we realize like, oh, we actually didn't mean for this to become what we were doing. And for this to go well, And now we know what it feels like for this to become all we do and what we are. And
It's
what we
very
have to define
post
ourselves as.
Kurt Cobain of us.
We
to
were like,
pre-think of
throw
this.
it all away and start over, you know? Like, it's just
Right.
a pattern.
If I can't imagine myself doing that with passion every day for the rest of my life, like I wouldn't want to like keep embarking on that journey. Like that would be on me.
So you guys have made music as a duo for a while.
Yeah, we were actually trying to count today, and it got above like 15, and we were like 15 years. And so I was like, I don't
That's
think I want to
fantastic.
count anymore.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we lost count.
I was like, I don't want to do this math. It makes me feel old. Let's stop.
What's going to happen though is that like you're going to have kids at some point, maybe, and you're going to try to
put a pin in it, but we're just going to say.
Okay. Well, I mean, we were married for 14, 15 years before we started thinking about that. We had kids late.
Okay. Wow. You've really.
But my point is.
Okay.
My point is that
some authenticity here with that statement.
Well, like you're going to have to tell your kids or try to convince them that you were once cool. That's my thing, is that like my, glory days of my early 20s, recording, touring, doing the thing, like they'll never, man, it's always going to be lame and whack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't possibly explain to them that I was cool for like a year. Maybe
squeezed one out.
like 6 to 9 months. Like, come on, I got photos to prove it. No, they don't care.
They don't care. Well, that's good to know. So I'm not going to put any energy into caring about them carrying them, because if that
they just don't, and you can't take it personally, but they just don't. They just don't care. I mean, think about like, were your parents cool? Mine were not. Mine were not. As
my parents, like as in my experience of knowing them in my existence, absolutely not. But like I believe that before they were, they did. They convinced me for sure.
No. What I mean is like when I was a kid, I mean, my dad was in, academia. So at 40 or at 35, I'm whatever, 15 or 17. It's like the academia crowd where they all wear the jackets and they come over to Sunday lunch and they're smoking pipes and they've got the like elbow pads on their jackets. I do not have those kind of friends.
Yeah.
So my daughters, I mean, they were not cool. They were not cool. Don't put on choral music on a Sunday afternoon with all your friends with pipes.
That's amazing to me though. I love
that's not cool. Why do you love
cool
that?
if that was, I wouldn't think it was cool, but me now, that's very cool.
It's not cool, dude.
It feels so cool to me.
It's like, not cool.
Amazing. I would love to do that with my friends.
What if your parents were like tattooed musician artists weirdos? That's what my daughters are growing up with.
Yeah. I'm so curious
cool.
about that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean,
not academia Sunday lunch.
It's everything. It's everything's responding, it's a lot like how we make music.
Go on.
Generation to generation, we talk about this a lot, but we spend maybe too much time together. So we've, got to fill a lot of airspace. So, the conversation about how, your great grandparents were a certain way. So your grandparents are a certain way. So your parents are a certain way. And so, you're all just trying to define yourselves as not your parents. So the parenting style that you choose is like the opposite of how your parents did it. And like everyone's doing that generation after generation after generation.
And then you end up being your parents anyway.
Yes, exactly.
It's so interesting. Like the things that I said I would never do, I end up doing. And then all the stuff I said I would do would be a big deal. Then I don't do,
From like so your youth to now?
No, just with raising my own kids.
Oh, with the kid stuff. Yeah,
Specifically with that.
Like, it's man, I will make sure I do that, And I mean, obviously most of the things I do, right? But then there's those little details, where it's like, fuck, I'm my dad, like, oh, fuck, that was what and you can read all the books and do all this stuff, but it still is like such an experiment. It's such a human experiment.
Yes, that's been my experience of watching.
Totally.
From afar.
Totally. And I mean, you've got to accept that at some level you're going to do a big number on your kids. But maybe it's like less of a number. Maybe it's more like like a fraction or something, or what's less of a number, like a division or something.
Yeah, I would say a fraction. You're hoping.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but less of a number.
But I think the point is that you are like, that's part of the development, is you just being how you are, is doing the work to create your child into who they're going to become, because it's just a response.
If all of your intuitions are wonderful and perfect.
Well, I would say if we're like outside of like worrying about like more moral ethical stuff, right? Like we're all just living on this plane where we're all like, you know, we're good intentions out to do the best here. The like idea that like what you're focused on making sure you do or don't do has like your kid isn't even gonna know that. That's like not even gonna be in their purview. But like
So
something
true.
you don't know about is gonna be like stuck with them forever, and they're never gonna know that was like a big
so
deal.
true. So true.
Exactly.
Or they're gonna remember something that is wrong, and their perception of it was wrong, and they're gonna stick to that one memory of that day that dad did whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, man, do you know what I was dealing with that day? That, you know, like that did not happen.
Exactly. But it's like their
that was
own
your
perception.
16-year-old perception of it.
Exactly. But that's all they have. So like
it's
as
fucked,
they develop, they're gonna have a different perception of it over time. But it like, I think that that's like really what shapes a person. And so like always looking at it from this like evolution is driving us, and like we can't possibly know what's going to be the thing that made something better and had a result of something that like bettered humanity in the long run or something versus something that wouldn't. I don't know. We talk about this so much for like, you know, something you thought was like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Like produce something never would have happened otherwise. That got you to something else. And this is where it always like ties back into tape music and looping and generative patches and all this stuff, is like
things being in the ether.
Yeah.
Well, here's an interesting concept on that. When you talk to people from the 60s, Woodstock era, I've seen this on documentaries so many times, man, because it always starts with man. Man, you know, we didn't know at the time that it was a magical time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I think about that all the time.
But what I want to suggest or challenge is, I actually think that what's happening in electronic music right now is special.
Yes.
I don't think that we don't know right now.
I agree with that. Absolutely.
And we're going to look back on it and be like, man, we had no idea. We were just innovating and doing our thing. No, fuck no. This is an awesome time.
Yes.
We're grabbing it. We're building scene. That we're like cheering on everybody. This is a very different time.
Yeah, this is exactly what I mean. Absolutely. You put your lens on and you look at things a certain way and you're going to see a certain result.
Yeah. And you build it and they will come, you know, just like always, you know, you build a cool, you know, baseball field. And I mean, what was that movie?
Yes.
Field of Dreams. Kevin
Thank
Costner.
you. With Madonna.
She was everywhere.
She was so good in that movie. Man, you know what? She's somebody who I cannot hear bad about.
I love that for you. That's amazing. I love a person that feels that way. I do. I love it.
No, people who want to, oh, she's so weird now, or plastic surgery now. Man, shut the fuck up. This is Madonna. No.
You don't get it.
I feel you on that as well.
She's really special.
I've always related to her because we're both Leos.
Oh, well, that's very basic of you.
Totally. Yes, absolutely.
I just always thought that was cool. I was like, I could relate with you know, that aspect of her personality, which I think a lot of people said was like, you know, very prominent.
What is Leo personality?
Well, like it's a sun sign. It was her sun sign. I think sun is the actual
it's considered, you know, a real,
but I mean, what are the traits? Yeah,
like real charismatic, attractive, you know, I always think of it as like the sun, right? Like they enjoy the sun shining on them, and everyone is attracted to that, and they light up the room, and like everything sort of.
I'm getting that feeling from Augustus big time. Big time. It's just like it's coming off you.
He's a bright light.
I knew that was gonna end up like backfiring.
I need to mute. I need to cover the screen because
it's so bright.
Or maybe just sunglasses.
I know there was no good way out of that. I'm so sorry.
No, that was low hanging fruit.
It was. I was thinking there's something I've learned from all the study we do of like our predecessors in electronic music, and I think this way about Madonna too, is the more I find out, the more I want to find out. Like the more I learn, the more respect I have. It's like it just builds.
Nice.
So I feel that way about her too.
You know, hearing her early records and reading the liner notes got me into all the producers she was working with, and that got me chasing down that like that rabbit hole.
I'm a fan for sure for music first and foremost. I mean, that's obviously what I respect about her the most is her tunes. And the fact that she did, you know, play such a role in working with the producers that she did, like she would go against the grain and like tell people to F off if they wouldn't let her work with people.
Yeah.
Always thought
and
that
just
was really
good
cool.
songs, man. Good songs.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a kid who was, you know, at the same time was into The Cure and Echo and the Bunnymen and Susie and the Banshees. But man, is the same kid who liked Sade and the Culture Club and Madonna. You know, so
love that.
I don't know. I loved Madonna a lot.
I think the through line is like the synths, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But you know,
what's your favorite record of hers?
The first one. Oh, definitely.
Amazing.
But I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh no.
Oh, you said the through line.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about that is that all my synthy friends who are like the serious synthy people.
Ooh, I like this subcategory.
Like they call on stuff that it just went over my head, because even though I liked Depeche Mode, I had no idea about the Roland 606 and the 809 909. I didn't give a fuck, dude.
Right.
You know, but the other thing is that in those years I was going deep on guitars. So this model of guitar, this model of these pickups, this microphone.
Yeah.
So it's kind of same, but now it's funny to be in the synth world and all these people talking about these classic synths and FM and the 909, all stuff that I don't care about at all. But at the same time, I was listening to all the music, which is based on that stuff. But I didn't know or care. And I still don't care, because a 909 is just that's not what I'm here to do.
Good to know.
I mean, a 909 is fine. I don't mean to.
I don't have to ask that question.
I don't mean to give shade on the 909. I'm just saying that like it's what can we ever innovate and get past this classic drum sound? I don't know. Like what the fuck?
I think we would be on. It would be really fun. We've talked about this. If there was like a reality show about synths, like what would that be?
Oh, that is so funny.
Like not like we don't want competition of.
That's so funny.
Stuff,
but think about the personalities though,
like,
right?
What can you do with a 909 and having people debate? Like I love that. That would be funny.
Think about the personalities on a show like that, right? So here's like the super nerdy Eurorack person, and then here's like the polysynth person, here's like the electron box person, you know, and they're all like they want to be cool, but they're kind of like judgy and like that would be so good. I would for sure watch that.
I would too. I mean, it's gonna happen.
There'd be somebody that would show up with exclusively a 909.
There's gotta be the Behringer guy too, or gal or person,
man, person. Oh, I just gotta resort to person. You know, it's a wonderful era. Like my daughters. Here's another tangent that you can stop me on.
Let's do it.
But you know, my daughters, starting in like the 3rd or 4th grade even, they had friends who were coming out. They had friends who were coming out, And I think about like what we went through in the 80s, and the words which were used and the stuff which was used. And it's such a wonderful different era. And I'm not saying it's all done and that everyone's cool and everyone's free, but my wife is a teacher too on the high school level, and same thing. A lot of kids out, again, bullying and all this stuff is never going to end, and there's always going to be assholes, but it is a different era. It's a different
you have
era.
real insight into that.
Well, I grew up in the serious
sure, yeah,
in the serious like
conformity times.
Yeah, and also a time where and a place we talked about the Midwest. It was a place where individuality was not celebrated. This is like a conservative Christian town. It's not a small town, but there's a status quo of like, we don't need the androgynous punk rock kid walking around in our high school. We just don't. We just don't, because you challenge us, you make us wonder about our stuff, and it's like my mom is the shrink. And she's telling me like, all these kids, don't worry about that. They just have latent issues and you're threatening them. Don't worry about that. And it's like, man, kids do not need that. That does not register for a 15-year-old who just wants to wear black fingernail polish and the Robert Smith t-shirt. You know what I mean? So I was like, get me the fuck out of here. Take me to California where I can fit in with all the rest of the freaks. Hey, you got the Amber Alert. You were hoping it. Yeah.
It happened.
It happened.
You made that happen. This was happening during our pre-call, everybody, and we were like, man, if that happened on the stream, that'd be crazy. And then what
did I say?
You were like, let it happen.
Well, this is a first.
Turn it into a sound.
Turn it into a sound.
Well, this is a first, because remember I was saying that I had been through everything on stream, everything possible had happened, and I hadn't had one of those emergency alerts. So
there you go.
We did it.
Boom, check.
We broke a record.
Galaxy Electric. Check.
I love it. Check. Oh, Danielle in the chat said infinitesimal was the word you were looking for, I think, earlier.
I'm sorry, I'm not watching chat because
that's all good.
I probably should.
Oh yeah, there's some chat I missed. I'm sorry, everybody.
All right, let me read the chat. I'll keep derailing until we find that again.
Oh, we're gonna obtain kids at some point. No.
Obtain. Maybe you rent them. Right. Okay, here's the pro tip. All right. Request good-looking kids. Don't get ugly kids. Don't get ugly kids. They will not do well. You want good-looking kids.
Oh my god, that's wild.
Request that.
Who do we email?
Just them. When you'll know.
Oh my god.
Good lookers.
That got me. I had to take a second.
She's like, okay, that was great. And it's great seeing you, Johno, and we're gonna just shift gears now. SYNTH Friends is gonna be a little bit broader than we thought.
All right, take me back to your childhood now.
So you're both wine drinkers, that's the thing?
We decided
on stream
that we wanted to drink wine on SYNTH Friends Day.
I like it. I like it.
We went for it. We said, let's do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's random. Let's do it.
Yeah,
it just makes me very nervous, though.
Guy.
Oh, because it's near the gear?
It makes me very nervous.
It makes me very nervous, too. I have like a coaster. I have a set place for this. He's running in the wild over here. Sometimes it's on the floor. I'm like, I can't handle it.
I'm like rooting for you to spill that, right?
Oh no.
Wow. Okay.
Not in a like a not in a hateful way, just in like it would be so great on stream way.
That
I hope you wouldn't ruin gear. But it would be great.
Well,
like, why don't you put it right on the edge of that Buchla system, right over there? I think that'd be a good place for it, right over there.
Can you imagine? That has a little ring on it.
I think you're like actually pointing out something that I wasn't aware of, and that's that like I'm
the value of a bucla system.
Being
totally
really frivolous in front of the Behringers.
You're being careless in front of the Behringers.
Yeah. Careless, yeah.
More so than you would in front of your bucla.
Yeah. I think that's synthist is what it is.
It is. It is.
I'm realizing that.
You're not a synthesist. You're a synthist.
Synthist.
Because I'm going to put my wine next to a Behringer synth, but not my bucla synth. Mm-hmm. Synthist.
I get it.
I am a synthist.
Coined that term here now.
Sorry, man. People don't like to be called out like that, but
yeah, this is call out culture. I feel called
when
out.
you see it, you gotta. What's the thing? If you see it, call it, or
see something, say something.
That's if you see something, call it.
The opposite of the bystander effect.
Exactly.
Literally, they have to tell us. If you see crime, please tell someone. Don't just be a bystander.
Well, because snitches get stitches, yo.
Yeah, literally. We talk about being synth narcs on here all the time.
Tell me, what is that?
Like, just like, don't gatekeep. Don't like call somebody out for having Behringer shit. Like,
oh man.
Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. Oh god, that stuff makes me sad. Yeah.
It's like, I watched it from afar. I watched it eat certain people alive. I like watched this organism on the internet just like eating people alive. And I was like, I think I'll stay over here. And then all of a sudden there was like more people over here. And I was like, oh.
See, that's
okay,
what I
cool.
think. That's what I think is that like part of me wants to play it down and not even talk about it because I think then we quash it, right? Mm-hmm. But then part of me is like, fuck no, that's never worked in history.
Right.
Yeah, let's just not talk about racism in the US and then it'll go away.
Ooh,
it's
yeah.
like
yeah,
exactly right. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So part of me is like, it's not that big of a problem. They're isolated incidents. Everybody, and I mean 100% of everybody who I speak to has this same feeling.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
Everyone's cool. What the fuck, right?
Yeah.
So I know we're not dreaming up this problem. I know it does exist. I've had friends who have felt it and you have too. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not real, but I felt this running modular on the spot here in San Diego was that there was this supposed like gatekeeping of like has to be modular only. And of course I never did that. And I think that's pretentious and really, anyway, we could go on that. But what I found talking with all the other modular on the spot, people who ran them worldwide in Japan, in everywhere, was that nobody cared. But the perception was this like, so I could tell you the people who care, and they're an army of one. And we don't need to name those names, but they're an army of one. Mm-hmm. And I think there are some people who, like, I like the spirit of modular on the spot almost entirely.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I get that it's cool to challenge yourself and to only use one thing. That's cool. Do that. Don't impose that on others.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of a simple little end to that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just think it was interesting that the perception was that there was all this gatekeeping, but when I found out there really actually wasn't. Mm-hmm. And I know that because they're friends of mine and I've spoken with them directly about this point.
It's a perception.
It's
really fascinating.
I'm sure it's existed, but maybe less so now. So that's why I'm saying, like, let's ignore it then and quit talking about this thing that exists because it doesn't fucking exist.
Oh,
I love that attitude.
Yeah, I definitely ascribe to that. There's a study that was done that I heard about when we have this perception that the news is something we need and we need it to tell us the thing that happened.
And to be negative. Right.
Actually, when you say a thing that's not true or you say a thing that's harmful, to say it because it's the thing that happened, it actually perpetuates. Like,
fucking A.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, just don't say it. It's like, don't say it.
Seriously. News cycle is a perfect example.
A thing in your mind that makes it real,
That's so, man, that's good. And news cycle is a perfect example, because we say like, why do all they show us is negative stuff? And the answer always is, that's what we want.
Yeah, right.
And I would say, really?
No,
like
that's not
you
true.
would ask 100 people if they would like to see negative shit on the news, and they would all say yes.
Yeah, that's
no,
fascinating.
No, they wouldn't. But we tune into it, and now it feeds this thing, and we, you see something negative and you do feel better about yourself.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I'm not being arrested on this. Oh yeah, that's not, but you're feeding that, aren't you? What if you fed positive, like, man, I need to be more like that guy who saved the whatever,
Yeah.
or like,
how do you envision something that doesn't exist yet that you actually want if you can't,
or do you build it and they will come?
Yeah. It's the baseball. It's always baseball.
Or do you set up that TV network saying, man, fuck this, I'm going to do the positive news? Would people watch it? There's the litmus test. Like, do you think they would?
Well, I think it's less about, again, we're talking about the same thing again of reacting in the opposite. Like we talked about with generations and parenting. Like it's this pattern again. Does it help to do that? I don't know. It moves you in a different direction, then you can play with that, because that's not going to be perfect either. So I don't know. I think that there's an idea of what the news is, and then there's like what the news actually is. So I think there's a lot to talk about there that I would be really out of my depth to like really unpack. But I really think that you're saying the same thing that we're agreeing with, is that we would like to experience more outside of just ourselves trying to like pick ourselves up every day, right? Is to like see, examples of solutions instead of just problems. I think maybe is how I'm thinking about it, rather than negative and positive.
That's it, man. You should write a mission statement for yourself.
Ooh.
Like take, like a business, right? Like when you said yours just right there, it made me think of mine. And, like what I've always said would be that I want to be just a tiny role in making the world run a little smoother, right? So that's not saving the world. But what you just said is very, very similar. And I would commit, man, like double down, like write it down, make that your mission statement,
Yeah. I do believe that like if you really want to see if something is worth playing out, like you have to really give it your focus.
Absolutely.
And you have to tune everything else out for a while to know for sure. Because otherwise, I just have spent a lot of time observing people who seem frustrated and trying to see like what they're doing so I don't do that.
Right, exactly.
And it seems to be a lot of not staying on something long enough, or having like a split focus where they're like, well, I want this, but I'm going to do this. And I'm like, but you said you wanted this. You're over here doing this. These things don't seem to match up. I see why you're frustrated.
Right.
So
this is life and time, though. I mean, I think about some of the jobs and some of the career paths, which I thought I was going to do in my 30s.
Sure. No, calling myself out 100%.
And it's like, we're all trying. It's very dear. And I don't mean that in any kind of a patronizing way, but we're all trying to figure out, how to bash forward. It's really dear, I think.
I agree.
That we all try,
I think that's actually why so many of us are so embracing of wanting to say, no, be in the now. This is awesome. Like we're all here. We're all like really owning that we don't know what we're doing, and we're just like wanting it to be positive. Like we just want to have a good time, and we want to see what comes of this. And we're not really bringing our, I don't want to be egotistical in saying that we're not bringing our egos and not having that like in check, but I do think that's like the intention behind it.
Back to the making everything positive on the news thing.
Sure.
Well, it's just such a good, it's a good rabbit hole, and you guys are good rabbit hole people. I wish that we didn't have to keep the time tight today, because this could be a lot tighter. But I've been not like accused, but I've heard from various friends, and some of them pretty close friends, that on Modular World, I'm always shooting the big sunshine cannon, that it's all just like love and positivity all the time. And that for one friend, he was like, I love you, man, but I just can't watch it. It's just too much.
Really?
And I mean, this is a good friend. You could say that too.
Oh,
right?
sure. But
Like,
I'm like, wow, that's like profound.
I'm not butthurt, but that is profound. And I got to look at that. So, like, I'm going to look for people and artists and curate shows who I can genuinely be interested in. So if you feel a sunshine cannon firing at you and it's not a shit cannon, then it's sort of like, excuse me, right? Like, yes. I'm not like it's not open call, and I'm not putting the smile on stuff that I don't care about. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, it's this fucking good.
Yeah.
I actually am that excited about this artist or this album that they put out or this, whatever. If you can find the thing and be that, genuine about it, then if people think you're full of it, or if it's too much, then I'm not.
Oh yes.
Really, I don't have fucks to give. Doubles. I don't have a fuck to give you.
Right.
It's Sorry, not I don't give fucks. I'm fresh out of fucks.
Fresh.
Yeah, fresh out.
Oh, we have some friends in the chat. Hi, Triobium, saying hello to you, Johno, especially.
Oh, Triobium. That's
okay.
That's Jared. That's Jared Kozub. That's Ice Locust.
Oh, hello. Welcome in.
One of our just talented wizards of this scene, and somebody who's just like, man, talk about like hunger, right? Like he goes to Sarah Bell Reed's class.
Oh yeah.
Right. Her like online thing gets totally turned on, innovating, just doing all kinds of stuff. He just released this thing where he went out to this, it was like a container, like one of those like, containers.
Shipping container, yeah.
Thank you. Like a big plastic container, like big
that's
Tupperware.
Usually me, trust me.
And he, recorded all these samples and did all this stuff. Very creative human being right there.
Sweet.
And Tangent Universes, my girl.
We love Tangent. I see Open Set is here as well. Welcome in.
Creative people.
Lots of, oh my gosh, I know. We're like, is this real?
I mean, this is
really know all these amazing people.
Dude, we stand with giants. I mean, this is, so Tangent Universes was the emerging artist of, or what do we call it? The emerging artist?
I think that's right. Emerging Artist of the Year or something.
I did this show like a month ago and I can't think of the name of it. It was called the Emerging Artist.
That's 300 years in whatever version of the world we're in now.
Anyway, Tangent Universes was the emerging artist of 2022 because she's had this just like meteoric rise this past year and she's doing such exciting stuff. Yay.
And one of
Daniel
our early
Naruto,
friends.
I don't know.
Tangent made us feel like it was okay to be our weird selves on the stream. So we appreciate Tangent.
I mean, what are you gonna do, dude? Are you gonna be like a YouTuber, like personality? In fact, let me ask you this. Like, speaking of mission statements, all right? Like, what is your mission statement for this channel? Like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this?
For this
what's
channel?
your what's your thing?
I've never told anyone this. Should we tell people our mission statement?
Sure.
Educate.
Why would that ever be a secret?
I don't know. I just don't know if anyone cares. It feels weird and like vulnerable.
Oh, we care.
And
I'll tell you why.
Our statement is to educate, entertain, and build connections to make life more retro-futuristic.
See, and you can say it. I love you for that.
I love that you love that. I've never said that to anyone
really.
Out loud because no one's asked. I don't know.
This is why. It's because you mean it. It's because you mean it. Like, and this is message to like manufacturers too, like you need to have on your website like a mission statement, like an about us, right? Like you wonder if somebody cares. Trust me, we care.
It's like the thing that drives us at our core that we know that we say to each other all the time And we hope that just gets like the result of that is conveyed where we don't need, it doesn't need to be said, I guess. I don't know.
Well, this is like you don't tell your kids you love them because you feel like they know it.
Oh.
Start your show with a mission statement. Yo, welcome to Galaxy Electric, where we believe in this.
Damn.
Set the tone.
That's gonna stay with me for sure.
Set the tone.
This is your tone, this is your show.
Does everyone know we love you here? Like, I want to make sure
we should just have it play on like a tape recording, like with like a vocal.
Start the show with like we love, like make a song.
I've never really said this either, but I'm really superstitious. I'm weird in that I don't know why I'm like that. I don't logically agree with that, but like it's like in my code somewhere. And I'm like, I don't know if I should say that out loud, right? Because Daniel gets me. Like, there's like magic in keeping things to yourself. I like to hide behind that a little, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a lot of love in the chat. Thank you, everyone. I feel so seen.
I'm reading these. I don't think anything secret. I'm a big hot mess. Like I will tell the checker at Target like my fears, and like we'll leave like with a little friendship and a nice high five, and my my wife's like, get me the fuck out of here, come on, let's go, but my kids have grown up seeing this, they're like, you can talk to anybody at any time. This is how this whole thing these past years has happened. It's like you just can reach out to anybody and just say hello. And just tell them you like what they're doing and have a conversation.
That's like actually my favorite thing about the era that we're in is that you could just be like, what you're doing is cool. And then just like have conversations. Whereas I feel like in the past, before it was like we broke all these fourth and fifth walls that we've built up.
I could never reach Todd Barton. How would Todd Barton ever talk to me?
Man,
and you have Todd Barton on your show.
Yeah,
I mean, this guy is a national treasure.
I know, like literally. Like,
and you can just message him on Instagram, and you're not talking to like an assistant.
He may or may not be here. He was here earlier, but
he was here actually. Sorry, Todd. I don't mean to embarrass you.
No. I was shout out Todd, obviously, but he told us. Oh, I always have, since, the 70s, I just reach out to people. Like, I'll just call anybody, write them a letter, whatever. Like, I want to connect with people. And I was like,
absolutely.
Okay, permission granted,
Absolutely.
Like, even before there was Instagram DMs, Todd was out here blazing that trail.
Absolutely.
It's funny, like people like my wife are the exact opposite. Like, I can't go to that party. I don't know anybody. And I'm like, when did you ever make friends? How did it ever happen that you made friends in this life? Like, what the fuck?
The way that you grow up, the structure in which you make friends growing up is like so formative.
Every time you made friends must have been dumb luck.
It's like, well, I grew up in a town of like 1,000 people. So like you didn't make friends. You knew everyone in town. And whoever was
selected friends, maybe
whoever was my age is who my friend was. Like, if your family had a kid my age, I was playing with them. I didn't get to choose my friends.
That's kind of cool.
There were 10 people in my class. You know what I mean? Like,
oh wow.
It was just, I didn't have to learn that. It was just like, oh great, the people I like met in kindergarten when I was pooping my pants are like walking the stage with me at graduation for high school.
That was really just that was a real specific detail.
It was extremely specific.
But one other thing is, if you're pooping your pants in kindergarten,
no, it wasn't.
You're not in kindergarten. You're not ready.
You're not allowed to go. No,
they won't let you in.
I wasn't. I actually went early to kindergarten because I
actually skipped kindergarten, so whatever.
I remember being like pretentious in kindergarten, but we don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now.
You remember kindergarten?
I do. Because I was like, God. These fuckers can't even read yet.
Wow, yeah.
You remember thinking that?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I was like, I know the answer to every question. Do I really have to raise my hand for all of these? No one's going to give an answer? Are we going to do round robin here or what?
So has this feeling carried through your adult life? Do you feel like you're the smartest person in the room a lot of times?
No, I'm extremely imposter syndrome issues, but
oh, don't do that. There's room for everybody,
anymore.
Man.
Not anymore, but like in academic settings for sure.
Man, there was somebody, I won't out them because it would be awful, but they messaged me earlier about this Pulsar show that we're doing on Modular World.
Oh, cool.
And they were like, I've got to tell you, I'm so nervous. I'm sick about it. And I'm like, it's not live. You've sent a video. Like you could have
being live with people watching it. Is that,
I guess like somebody's watching it, right?
Being seen, as Tangent said, I'm sorry for perceiving you. I'll stop.
Well, she had these perceptions too of like, I'm scared to have people see me and see my artistry. It was new. Okay, that's fine. But it's like, oh, come on, it happened again. Oh yeah. About you saying that about the imposter syndrome. Is it like there's place for everybody here? Like you can have, like, come on.
No,
like,
I don't have it
shows.
Now. Like, what can I feel imposter about of a thing that I like made up? I think that's why we live in this like made up space.
Not you. I mean,
not me. Oh, okay. The general you.
I mean, just artists.
Universal you.
I mean, yeah, just like artists who I talk to.
We're having a therapy session now. I'm gonna take this for myself.
I mean, just artists who I talk to who are intimidated to play, intimidated to get out. And I see it live here too with Modular San Diego. There are people who are just so interesting and they post great stuff. And I talk with them and they're like, oh, I'm not ready to play out yet. I'm like, bro, like your show is a perfect example. Like you've got Todd Barton on the show and you've got somebody who's nobody, has ever heard of. This is important. We need to tell these stories. There is a place for everybody. Like there just is. We've got enough, time,
I'm pumped.
And all the people who get, and this is kind of in the mission statement of, Modular World and building community, is that, all the people who are doing great, who have the big names, the Richard Devines and all that, they're getting a lot of attention and have worked hard for it and deserve it. And that's great and good for them. But like, they're not going to be on Modular World. I'm not here to, and this is no shade on them. They've, they've got plenty of attention.
Yeah. Like what conversation with that? Yeah. Like to me, it's like the content, not just necessarily the guest.
I'm going to ignore that you said the C word.
I didn't mean it that I meant like content in the actual.
I know. I'm just teasing you.
I know it's a trigger
I'm just
word,
teasing you.
Content warning. I said content.
No, it's just, yeah. I don't know. But I mean, like when I first played out, even though I had years of playing out in bands, I did have that like, it's got to be right. I've really got to plan the motherfucker of a set that's going to blow all their minds. And, I had experienced friends of mine going like, dude, just show up and patch from scratch and make sounds. And we all think it's cool. And I was like, yeah, bullshit. Like for you, because you can show up and have that confidence to do something. And now I'm the fucking guy telling people who've just started that we don't care and just show up and make sound, and it's not because I'm so experienced now, because I'm not, but I do have the confidence to just show up and make a mess.
That's experience though.
And I don't need it to be perfect. And I don't need to have all the tricks up my sleeve. I'm not going to show up really prepared. And I'm going to kind of mostly wing it and get through it,
But there's going to be like some magic in there that is going to be better.
We hope.
Than if you prepared. In my findings with it, at least.
For sure, my findings too.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say by far, most of my friends, would disagree that they want to show up with a sequencer with patterns, and they don't want to fall off the knife's edge. And I love the knife's edge. Like I want to straddle it. You know what I mean? Like
literally,
I want to
like where you find.
Yeah. I want you to feel the risks that I'm taking and to, I've fucked up plenty of times live.
Yeah.
I didn't realize us knife
I don't care.
edgers were the minority.
Well, I find that like most of my friends, well, I've got a good amount of friends who would make experimental music and aren't showing up with a sequencer, you know, but I got more friends for sure who want to make pretty organized music, who have their patterns, who, you know, compose them first and plan them. And, you know, they're showing up, pressing play, no shade.
No shade. And I like that, and then too, also, actually. I like it all.
But it's not just pressing play, and that's where I need to qualify that. They're pressing play on a sequencer and then allowing themselves a lot of space to improv.
Improvise, right. That's cool.
That was cool how I quickly muted my mic for the gross cough.
That was perfect.
Because I'm a pro, man.
Yeah. I want to say more, but I want to make sure that I respect that you need to leave. So I'm going to try to.
I'm so sorry. I told my daughters that I wouldn't leave them standing out too long. It's like friends of them.
If you were like, you know what, but we were on this great Twitch call.
Yeah, it's like, you know, well, they know what Twitch is. I was really into Twitch culture a few years ago. I started making this documentary about Twitch, and I know this could be a whole other show. We could just talk about that film. It was such an interesting project.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that.
It was the only, it's so sad. It was the only project in my like professional filmmaking life, which I let down and walked away from.
The only?
The only.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And like there were a lot of projects where I hated it, but I wanted to commit, and or you know, it had changed and I wanted to see it through. The Twitch project, I was like, I don't believe in the story anymore. I'm gonna let it go.
Wow.
And that was a huge choice.
That is huge.
Yeah. Gosh. It was like 3 years of shooting and like a lot of characters, and I went to 3 Twitch cons. There was so much footage and like a lot of really interesting stuff. We should talk about that. That'd be a great follow-up.
No, I love that, because we do like have obviously a lot of people in here who are Twitch streamers, and so we're all kind of like inside this conversation, and we definitely.
I love what Daniel Neruda said. It's not art, it's content, man. That's just exactly what I'm always whining about, and I know that people who've heard the show are annoyed at me for it, but it's just it's the other thing. Like if we keep saying it, it'll be true and people will stop saying it, right? Like I think you're right, content is YouTubers. Content is people who are shilling other people's products. You know, a lot of my friends do that. It's fine. That's a great living. They get a lot of free gear.
Right.
That's what I would call content.
Yes.
Where, you know, it's a commercial. You know, when you're watching something on Google TV and it pauses and it says your content will resume soon. Understand what you're reading here. You know, if it's free, you are the product.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like don't forget that. You know, if you're chipping in to your Twitch stream, or if you're chipping into Patreon for something, then you have some ownership. Now, now like you're not the product anymore. The commercials on YouTube aren't for you. You've chosen to support the artist on Bandcamp. You know. Sorry, I get on soapboxes about this stuff because I think it really matters, and it's not just semantics. You know? I think we need to respect our artistry.
I love that.
Food for thought,
because like you said, the more that there's people saying that, the more people will feel okay to be that way more openly, and like we can establish more.
Yeah, like I don't want to hear like like your media diet and like what you consume. Right, like we consume food, our cars consume gas. Like I don't consume media, it's just it's all wrong.
It's all wrong. Well, that's a good cliffhanger.
On that little positive note for our culture. It's all wrong. Okay.
It's all wrong. Cliffhanger.
Nice talk with Johno Wells.
Find us next time dissecting.
I really enjoy you guys, and you're great conversationalists. This is super nice.
Same, obviously.
No, you're really good.
Are we synth friends still?
I mean, I guess.
All right. I mean, at this point, we've gone too far.
Yeah.
give a hang loose for that.
You guys have a good show, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for stopping by. We'll be sharing this, around later for everybody who missed it, and we'll have to have you on again.
Yeah, we could talk about that Twitch project. That would be a great conversation.
That would be really cool because we'd have a lot of insights from people about it too. Absolutely.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Carol.
Yeah, thanks, friends, for being here. Friends on friends
on
friends.
These are true blue friends right here.
Aww. Love it. Well, thanks again for joining us, everybody. Grab the links in the chat that we dropped so you can keep in touch with what John is up to, and we'll be seeing you around.
Thanks, you guys.
Take care.
Later.
Y'all. What a fun.
And
wow.
We're back.
I actually love, so we talk a lot about when we improvise experimental music, how limitations are so helpful for our creative process. And when Johno was like, I have a hard out at 4, this moment right now is the hard out that he had. It was like, well, then we have limitations, right? So now we're like trying to create this conversation in this condensed, limited time that we know we have. So I feel like even that was like part of this like whole gamified experience that we're having.
Yeah, we're like, let's.
So I have no problem with it.
Quickly transition into.
I guess that the culture of like being asked to be on things is really like different than what our culture for asking people to do things. Because when we ask people to do this, it's all very cash, right? Like, hey, you want to come join us? Like, you can be on as long as you want, But there's I guess a lot of expectations or other experiences that people have where they're like, what's this going to be like? And how long is it going to be? And all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, like, if you aren't having fun, you should leave. Like, if you're 20 minutes in and like it's not vibing, like, we can shut this down. If you need to go pick up your kids in an hour and a half, we can shut this down. Like, that's really important to me.
I've almost gotten to the point to where, like, once we get a certain reply, I'm like, oh, never mind. like I almost want to just be like, oh, we don't have to. It's cool from now then.
Well, it's like what Johno was saying is like, when you're curating a space and you want to get a certain,
not that has anything
you have
to do
a
with
certain,
the talk that we just
not
had.
at all. You have a certain mission statement and you do care about the intentionality behind it. Certain people are just gonna it's just not gonna ever work out.
Yeah,
like your schedules will never
really
align. It'll be like, oh my, all these things won't work out, and that's because it's just like it's not the right fit. But obviously, Johno was not that person, and we're so glad that Tangent recommended and got us connected. And Inertia Friends, I love this. The chat was so fun today, you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't keep up with it as much because I knew we only had this hour. I was like, I can't just be
trying to be attentive.
I can't check the chat and insert things and take us off course because then we will not have enough time. But yeah, I was trying to keep up, and I thought everybody was being really awesome. And that was the thing too, is like we talk a lot about how positive of an experience Twitch has been for us. So that's why I think it'll be really fun to have Johno on again in the future to talk about Twitch and positivity, because that's been our experience, is that the most positive platform is the one where it's like the most like open source and most like moderated, I think, like based on your preferences. So you can create the culture of your channel more than on other spaces, I think. Open said, we're fine bantering. I know, I'm starting to pick up on that. It's some conversations in chat are just for you guys. You're just having it amongst yourselves. Felipe Camilo Baez, thank you so much for the follow.
Hey.
We appreciate you. Limitations are key, which is why I can't open Ableton when I try to improv. Open set, you get it. This is the whole reason why we all like the Dallas experience. Like, nobody wants to be on forums all day troubleshooting or trying to figure out how this is going to go with this. But, like, without that, we would all just have too many options,
Right, exactly. And, like, I used to feel overwhelmed by, like, plugins and DAWs and stuff, and I still kind of do. But it's all about the perspective. Like, you can use them, and this is sort of what I've been doing lately and what I'd like to do more of in the future, maybe, for a purpose or two. But I like to try to get the best version of a thing. Like, for example, like if you want to sample the kick drum of your 909, even though we shat on that drum machine tonight, I like it. If you want to sample that, you want to like EQ it, you want to, you want to compress it, you want to do whatever you want to do to like make it like that final version. Then when you use it as a sample, it's already got all the processing on it. It's already going to sound good. Like you can trust it. You know what it's going to sound like through a subwoofer. Like you vetted it, and like if you treat every sample like that, it's amazing how few of them you need to get something that sounds really good together.
That's such a thing I learned over time. Especially when we're improvising together and experimenting together, it's like quality over quantity, leaving space, less is more. Like I learned all of that from doing improv with a partner. Yes, Open Set. This is what we've been trying to define. We're like, the kind of music we make is that we all have our own way of doing it. Whatever that genre is what we're all doing. So the music we make is whatever it is, but it's the process that we all feel like connected to personally that is the music we're making. I've been trying to say this for like a week, like trying to find like the most elegant way to say what I'm trying to say about it. It's very anti-algorithm, if you will.
Gotcha. Well, keep grappling.
I went the exact same route though, Open Set. Acoustic instruments to Ableton to then hardware synths and loopers.
Yeah, that is a good, because then, you can process.
Good night, Tangent. We appreciate you and your art and everything you do and for being here in, extended SYNTH Friends universe, obviously.
Later.
Thank you for being part
Thanks
of this.
Thanks so much for hanging out.
So, process to me is the genre. So I'm trying to figure out how to say that in a way that feels more profound.
My newest thing is respecting higher sample rates, like recording at 96 instead of like settling for 48. And I've read, some articles and things lately that have pointed me in that direction, like saying that you really can't record digital audio with no distortion at like the 48 and 44K sample rates.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I fell asleep while you were talking about that.
So I'm trying to record at higher sample rates in order to capture more of a tape sound.
No, now I'm in. Now I'm back.
More of an analog sound. The end.
Talking about digital sample rates, I'm like,
I'm recording at higher sample rates, guys. Even sampling at higher sample rates, and I feel like it makes a big difference, especially when you're repitching material. It just sounds like tape as opposed to a lot more like tape anyway, as opposed to a digitized file, I've found. But
interesting. These are the kinds of experiments we're doing right now.
Yeah, always. This is the kind of thing that I'm always up to. I plan to do it more and share more of that process, just because it's fun and it's what I enjoy and what I'm up to.
Ooh, okay, this woke the chat up there.
Yeah, we're seeing some love for higher sample rates.
It's interesting, right? I think it's just the natural evolution of the place that we're in.
Yeah, streaming, forget about it.
Yeah.
But making recordings, at least, I try to go with the high quality because, honestly, the 44 and 48K sample rates have been the standard for so long that it's we got to take that up a notch at this point. It's 2023. I got into digital recording in the early 2000s, and 44.1 and 48 were the thing, and it's we gotta go up from there. At some point we gotta step up to the next level, and so I've been trying to do that whenever possible.
Is this true?
What?
Twitch currently recommends 128. But you can go to 320.
I haven't looked into that actually, because
Thanks for reminding us.
Those are bit rates rather than sample rates.
Yeah, exactly.
So they apply to streaming audio. Yeah, and I honestly haven't looked into it, Danielle.
We probably should. Since streaming is like the jam these days.
It's like what we're doing.
It's like kind of what we're doing. I think we're doing this. I think we're streaming, you guys. You all.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to say you guys, but like in my head, it's not gendered, but like it feels weird to say something that I wouldn't naturally say, but I don't want to keep saying you guys because it feels weird.
Bitrate caps at 320. So what you're saying is, and I really haven't looked into this because like when we started doing Twitch, honestly, like I almost like shut off from like my technical ability. I was like,
it's so funny. You're the tech guy.
Put so much effort into this stuff that I was like,
let me learn OBS. I'll figure it out. And now I love it.
And now I'm coming back around to like maybe doing these tweaks, you know, like recording at the best bit rate. So what you're saying is we should take that setting up a notch for our streams and we'll have a better sound quality.
It isn't the default. So yeah, we need to check our defaults because I think we're in that place of like, wow, do we really have a Twitch channel?
Yeah, we're still getting our sea legs here.
Like, you know? Like, we thought we would just give this a try, and now it's like this is our whole lives and all of our friends and everything we do, and we should probably look at our settings.
Maybe, yeah.
We should look at the settings.
We should at least see if the default is something that we should actually use. Okay.
Is that going to be in my preferences?
Oh, we're looking into it now. Nice.
Like.
You saw it here first, guys. We switched to the higher bit rate.
Audio bit rate. 320, baby. I don't know if it's going to work right now. It's not going to work right now. But give it another 10 months. Wait. You can't change it while you're currently streaming. Yeah. Exactly.
But we did anyway.
But now I know where it is. I just like built that little like visual muscle memory of doing that so that next time I come back, I'll go, oh yeah. OpenSet told me to change it to 320.
Thanks for that tip.
And it won't impact video quality. That's amazing. Now the next level is going to be like if we can actually get visuals going. But I just don't know if our system can handle it. The one time I tried, it like everything just like
shut down.
Everything broke. Anyway, thank you all for being here for another episode of SYNTH Friends. This was so fun. Nice and tight, keeping it nice and tight for everybody's attention spans. I know mine is a little slower right now because it's winter and I just want to sleep. So I appreciate the limitations. I think our conversation was really awesome and really inspiring, and everything that we've been kind of marinating in lately in our thoughts. So that was really cool.
Yeah, I pretty much want to go to bed the moment I wake up these days.
The moment I wake up, I'm like, is it bedtime? Oh wait, I think I have to eat or something before I can go back to bed again. But yeah, we'll be back on Saturday for movie night, which, let's drop that Discord.
Drop that Discord.
The votes are still being tallied, but it does look like we have a pretty strong front runner. Pretty strong front runner in the poll for movie night right now. And
that is?
I'm not going to say it. You got to go to the Discord. Dead surfing. Yeah, we're actually just going to go watch surfing. So if you want to know about movie nights, if you want to talk about gear, if you want to know about the WSL Championship Tour that we're watching right now that just started, all that stuff happens in our Discord. We'd love to have you. And we are going to raid into our good friend, Your Opponent, who I think is streaming music right now. Yes. And like I said, we'll be back on Saturday. And then Sunday is going to be our first Shrimp Sunday Raid Train synth music time for the new year. So thanks for joining us on our new username channel with the full actual name. And it was a little bumpy getting that going. So I appreciate everyone hanging out with us. Sunday, I think we're at 3. I think we're at 3 Eastern. Yeah, 3 o'clock.
What's the theme?
It's just the regular Sunday stream, so it's whatever. We get an hour, whatever. So we'll do whatever, and we never know because that's the fun of it. So we'll see you all there.
I'm not gonna be a chump and bring a sequence.
Noise! Thanks for joining.
Kidding. I might have a sequence.
We had so many fun people in the chat today. Thank you all for being here, and we will see you on the other side.
Bye.